past 7 weeks have been a living hell and full of heartache for British-Israeli lawyer Ahal Besorai. In the October 7th attacks, his sister Yonat was killed by Hamas, while her husband Dror and 2 of their 3 children were abducted.
Well, on Saturday, there was some hope and relief for the family in the midst of unimaginable pain, because Ahal's niece and nephew, Alma, who is 13, and Noam, who is 17, were among the hostages released from Gaza.
Well, Ahal joins us now live from the Philippines, where he actually now lives. Ahal, good morning to you. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us this morning. Well, first of all, the obvious question, how are they both? I mean, clearly immensely relieved to be released, but coming out to this dreadful news that they had no idea of, that their mother had been killed.
Yeah, so I think there was tremendous amount of jubilation for us to know that they are going to be released. There were obviously some sort of hiccups, with Hamas playing games, etc. Just, tried to get us even more emotional. But at the end of the day, they were released. And unfortunately, they were not aware that their mom, my younger sister, was murdered by the Hamas terrorists on October 7th. And this was the first piece of news that they had to be confronted with on the arrival and meeting the grandmother and the older brother and the family dog Nala.
Who actually told them, and how soon after they were released were they told?
So I think as they arrived into Israel, the grandmother, older brother, and a psychological team met them, and they were told then and there that this is the fate of the mom, and that the father, she was murdered by the terrorists, and that the father is presumed to be hostage in Gaza.
Were they held in conditions that they have been able to talk about? Do you know very much about what the past 7 weeks has been like for them? 17-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl. Were they with their father?
No, they were kidnapped separately. We initially thought that they were all together and assumed all of them were kidnapped. Only then to find out that my younger sister was murdered. And when I spoke to them yesterday, and mainly to Noam, so he recounted to me what happened on the day. So they were all hiding as a family in the safety room in the house. The terrorists broke into the house, set it on fire. The children jumped from the window and tried to hide in a neighbor's balcony. They were found by the terrorists, taken away. So they were separated from the parents from the outset. Noam was put in a trunk of a car, Alma in the front with 8 other terrorists, and they were driven. The car was a kibbutz car that they stole, and they were driven to Gaza. In Gaza, from what they told me, they were held not in a tunnel, but in a house, in a room in a house, locked in a room in a house, together with another lady who is also from Be'eri, but not a kibbutz member. She was born in Be'eri, grew up in Be'eri in the same way that I did, but she actually just came to visit her parents. And they supported each other during this time together. It was not an ideal time. I don't want to go into the details that they told me of how they were treated, but it wasn't a case of them sitting and watching television and having a good time.
Were they fed properly?
I didn't go into the eating pattern. Both of them lost a lot of weight. When I talked to them, obviously it was over a Zoom call. So they lost a lot of weight. So I presumed, food was scarce. When they decided to release them, they actually didn't tell the other lady that they are going to release them. They took them out on sort of a toilet trip, and then they handcuffed them blindfolded them, put them in a car, and whisked them to wherever this exchange or transfer to the Red Cross happened.
So after after this 7-week ordeal, and then to be told that their mother had been murdered on the day that they were kidnapped, you've spoken to them. How would you describe their emotions as we speak? How are they? How are they psychologically?
You know, to my amazement, Alma comes to the phone, you know, to see me, and she has this enormously beautiful smile and glittering eyes. And you can see through this reservoir of strength that we all of us human have. But the day-to-day life, you don't need to tap into it. Because to go shopping, to watch television, it's not a strength that you need. But when you put in this situation as they did, they tapped into this reservoir. And this, I believe, is what helped them stay normal mentally during the ordeal, but also come back and see me and give me this beautiful smile that, you know, really brought tears to my eyes, just to see her and to see this beauty through her eyes.
You're very proud of them, aren't you?
Extremely proud of them. I mean, in the photo that you show, in the video that you show, you know, the way they hold hands. And, you know, for me, it's so touching, you know, this brotherly, there, you know, just like this, you know, it's so beautiful and strong. And I can see through this how they supported each other during this ordeal. And they are still young, 17 and 13. They're still children.
Yeah. What about your brother-in-law, Ahal? What about Dror? Because he's still being held captive. And I know that there are a huge number of other parents who are desperate for their children to be released. We have this fragile truce, which everybody's hoping is extended. And nobody wants to go back to any, you know, death, any other situation where this, you know, where these hostages are at risk. What do you know of him, and what are your feelings about the prospects for a resolution of this conflict?
I think it's a very good question. So first, about my brother-in-law, this beautiful person named Dror. He is presumed to be a hostage. We have not heard any news about him. We hope that the return of the children would shed some light over his whereabouts or fate, but they were not together, as we now learn. So we just don't know anything further about him, which makes us obviously worry and pray for him to return. Going back to the second question about the truth and what is a solution for all this. I believe that an organization, sadists, evil, cruel as Hamas, cannot stay in power of anything. They need to be eliminated off the face of the earth. And I just want to make this point clear. I don't say it from a place of hatred. I don't say it from a place of I want revenge because my sister was murdered. No. I think that they call for the destruction of Israel in the charter. I think some of the spokesperson like Ghazi Hamid, the deputy foreign minister, said that they would, if they had an opportunity, they'll do it again and again and again and again. So for me, the elimination of Hamas is an existential necessity of the state of Israel. If we can extend the truce and we can get some more hostages back, by all means, definitely, they come first. But there is another aim to this war, and this is the securing the safety of Israel as a home of the Jewish people. Now, I understand that this war would cause unnecessary death and harm to people who are not involved, mainly people in Gaza. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart of everyone who is dead. But when you deal with cancer and you apply chemotherapy because the cancer is so aggressive and threatens your own existence, sometimes you kill live cells. But the live cells can only say the grievance to the cancer, not to the doctor applying the chemotherapy.
Well, we know that the Israeli government thinks very much along the lines that you just expressed, which would indicate that when the hostages, we pray that they're all released alive and well, but when they are finally released, you're saying it's inevitable that the bombing and the shelling will continue.
So me, it's not the bombing and the shelling that will continue. It's the destruction of Hamas as an organization. Because now they come for us, later they'll come for someone else. This is a vile terrorist organization that needs to be eliminated from the face of the earth. Another thing is, I believe that this truce came about because Hamas felt the might of Israel. Otherwise, there would be no truce. They don't regard these hostages as human beings. This is a tool in the military arsenal for them to play with, to get a truce here, to move someone there, to do something here, etc., etc. In the same way that they treat their own people. They use them as a human shield. They use hospitals, schools, mosques as terror centers to shoot from, to house them, to escape into. So, you know, we as Western thinkers, you know, must realize it. And, you know, it pains me that I see these people in the street shouting from the river to the sea. They don't even know what is a river and maybe don't know what is a sea. And if they do basically say from the river to the sea, he said, Itbach el Yahud, or kill the Jews, because we live between, not the river to the sea, but between the West Bank and the sea.
OK, Ahal, thank you so much for your time this morning. We're so pleased for you that your niece and nephew are safe. And obviously, we send our prayers for your brother-in-law and that he returns home safe as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.